Well, salutations, kindred spirits. Welcome to another magic history lesson. Hey, let's not waste any time. Today we're taking a look at cutting the aces and, well, let's just take a look at the trick in question. Here it is.
Sweeter than wine, softer than the summer night. Everything I want, I have. Whenever I hold you tight, this magic moment.
Okay, so this is one of the first methods that I learned for how to cut the four aces from a shuffled deck. I learned this version from a Frank Garcia book, The Elegant Magic of Father Cyprian, who I guess was a pastor or a priest who was a card magic aficionado. This book was published in the 80s, and I learned a lot from Frank Garcia magic books in the 80s. Maybe we'll discuss Frank more in another clip, but as noted, this is from The Elegant Card Magic of Father Cyprian. I do think it's worth noting that Gary Oulet, a very competent magician who worked with Copperfield for many years, he published his method, the 3-second wonder, finesse to the Father Cyprian handling. This was in Gary's book Close-Up Illusions. It was actually in Harry Lorraine's Apocalypse magazine, also in the 80s. These magazines, I think, are well worth your attention. Some wonderful gems published in the Harry Lorraine Apocalypse series. And yes, the Gary Oulet book Close-Up Illusions is also a wonderful resource full of great material, including his handling of the Father Cyprian trick. So, there's your history for the what is known as the 3-second wonder, but also Swindle Aces. This is Father Cyprian's Swindle Aces. You'll want to start with the four aces atop the pack. I used a unique swindle of my own in the clip we looked at earlier. I'm going to recommend here, if you want to start this with the aces out, I'm going to recommend a multiple shift that I discussed in an earlier video. If you go back to a Paul Harris history lesson, you'll see where I talk about the simple shift and Ed Marlowe technique. I think it's Ed Marlowe's, to get the four aces to the top of the deck. Or you can just start with the four aces atop the deck. So that's our starting point, or how to get into this. There's one more thing you'll need to do, and that's as you begin cutting the deck into four packets, you'll need to get a secret break above the topmost two aces. It's simple enough to do this by giving a little bevel to the deck as you're in shuffle position. You can lightly pull up on two aces at the inner end to get a break. I'm just lifting up with my thumb on 1-2 cards. And this is maybe acceptable, especially after you've just shuffled the deck. You're right there in position to do that. In the clip that I showcased, I actually had a natural bend working for me. I gave a concave bend to two aces on top, and then a convex bend, or vice versa. I'm not sure which is which. So that these aces have kind of a natural break going for them. I don't know if that's visible, but this allows me to just grab and instantly get the two aces, which when I'm trying to produce a short form video and I want this production to be done in under 15 seconds, a technique like that is preferable to any visible lifting or short pauses. So that explains the quickness of hand in that. I've got breaks working for me. Here's the Swindle Aces cutting procedure. Once you've got that break under two and are ready to swiftly cut the four aces, begin by cutting about half the deck forward. I'm maintaining the break, and I use that break now by moving backwards with the top two cards immediately. So the right hand cuts the upper portion of the deck forward and then immediately moves backward, and I move the left hand towards this packet to provide a little shade as that happens. But the right hand moves back with its two cards. It's not really important if that's visible. You're just cutting the deck here, and then you're going to continue cutting with each hand at this point. The right hand releases its break so the two cards fall flush on the packet, and then it cuts about half of its packet to the right as the left hand cuts half of its packet to the left. So these two actions are simultaneous. We proceed with the swindle by lifting the two cards from the respective packets, left and right uppermost, and then brushing them against each other I actually switched the aces for a little extra deception here, and then drop the aces on to the other packets, not where they came from, but the upper and lower packets in front of you, and then continue the swindle by lifting these two, switching the aces, and placing them on their respective packets now. So there's two swindles that happen in the Swindle Aces, and they happen after you've got your break. We cut forward, move back. Over here, swindle 1, boom, boom, boom. Swindle 2, they are placed on the packets they didn't come from. Then these two aces are turned uppermost, and that is how I handle the Father Cyprian / Gary Ulay Swindle Aces. I hope that information serves you well. Thank you for spending time with me on this brief magic history lesson, and see you on the next clip. Ciao for now.